right. Well, we are, of course, coming again together for Mindset Monday. And our topic, our theme, if you will, centers on the idea of confidence and viewing confidence as a skill. It is not something that we're all born with. It's not something that we all just naturally have. But over our lives, we have to earn this overall skill, right? One of the big pieces that I want to express inside of this, though, and you will have seen this in some of the posts, is this is something you've already earned. So you've already earned your seat at this table, whether you're a current job seeker, whether you're an individual that's looking to pivot, or you're advancing your career, or maybe you're just skilling up, right? You've earned the right already from your career, from your hard work, through, I'll dare even say, some suffering, anger that you might have gone through as a job seeker or as a pivoter inside of a current, maybe even a toxic environment, to have that confidence to go and then acquire whatever it is that's next for you. And I'm going to break this into really three parts, because you guys all know I love threes. And the way that I'm going to break this down is, first I want to kind of talk through the concept, right? What really is the concept of confidence as a compounding interest? How does that work for all of us when we start to think through what we look like, right? So if we can all agree that confidence is not a trait that you're born with, that it's truly a result of consistent action compounding over time, and I think we can all agree to that, whether we're thinking about a sports athlete or someone who acquired a great skill of maybe writing or musician or something of that nature. This is a compounding effect, right? I think it's incredibly important for all of us to then start to think through, what does this core teaching really look like when it comes to what is confidence? And one of them is this. And as I started to write this down, I was trying to figure out how I wanted to say it, and I just then want to say it as this. It's an unsexy truth about success, is that it takes a lot of work. Success is hard. Being successful in anything is extremely hard. And working at a routine to build a process for yourself, it takes a lot of small wins to get to that point. Most people like to have big results from really big effort in a short amount of time. The get rich quick scheme, that I've done all these things in my life, so it should be big and beautiful. That's not the case. Even if you think of the most successful individuals in the world today, the billionaires that you might even soon to be trillionaires, right? All of them have a consistent routine, and even in most cases, and it's not a glamorous way of producing a day-to-day life. It's very mundane. It's very substantially smaller in scale than what we would all envision. Confidence works that exact same way. You can't just wake up with it in the morning, right? You have to earn it through repetition. You have to take that repetition of those, and then you have to reflect on that repetition and see what was successful from it. And you have to continue to remind yourself to show up every single day, especially in the hard days. And I'll give you some data, because you guys know I love my facts and my figures. And when you look and you tear down what Harvard Business Review has shared with us, it is proven that if you don't reflect on a daily basis, if you don't think through what your skills look like and how you're achieving those skills, then you put yourself at a disadvantage as a job seeker, but you put yourself as a disadvantage as an individual achieving anything of life on a daily routine. And Harvard Business Review proved this through a study that showed that job seekers specifically that commit to some form of a daily reflection, whether that is in the morning or in the evening, that write these things down, had a 23% greater chance of achieving their daily routines. Now, this is important because this is going to build, right? Even just doing the daily, you'll see that by doing daily routines, it leads to longer and bigger and heavier action that will turn into, of course, larger results, right? Now, in our own program, and this is really great, tearing down our own data inside of JSC, we've seen this. The individuals who lean into a structured daily routine for themselves. You guys know about the 9-to-3 rule. You guys have heard about reflection, discovery, and execution. If you haven't, please hang in with us. You'll hear about it more and more and more. We will talk about it a lot, right? But we have seen that those individuals that do that have a 42% higher chance of landing a job within the 90 days. right? And you guys all have heard us talk about the fact that over 50% of our individuals are able to achieve that in those 90 days. And 42% of the overall whole that do put in these routines fall into that space. That is monumental data that supports and goes back to, of course, and really kind of is a testament to the individuals in our program, because Harvard says 23% will move forward if they do these things. So this shows that when you take a concept of reflection and then you build that reflection into a routine that supports your mission, your vision, your goals, your success level can jump, right, by almost 20%. That's an incredible piece, right? So what I want you to take away from this original kind of concept here is even the smallest step forward every single day counts as progress. That simple extra email, the additional message follow-up, the refocusing on your resume and changing a bullet point, the smallest efforts on a day-to-day routine, leaning in to an employee or a colleague that maybe that they could teach you something, but you don't have the relationship, can help you advance your career or advance you forward in your overall next step or your goal. The other piece that I want to share with this is if it's compounding. And as we move to this next exercise, I want you to really think about the fact that if you stay focused on something long enough, something will change in your brain. There's a chemical change that happens for all of us, that when we focus on a certain skill long enough, you will stop needing external validation for that overall skill that you're obtaining, because the results themselves will validate you. When you think as a job seeker, because you've had this trajectory of a great, solid career, and then whether or not it's been an external factor or even your own actions, that disruption, and this great post by Michael in Mindset, the fear, the anger that comes from that moment, that friction point, causes us to start to have self-doubt. It changes our routine. That's one of the reasons why we like the workshops. We like the daily morning action. We want something that represents what our original routine was, where we were successful in the past. It's that moment when we've all felt as a job seeker, when you lose your job and you don't know what to do with your hands, right? I'm confused. I don't have a call to get on. I don't know what to do. I'm just going to sit here. This is why building the 9 to 3 is so important. So what I want us to do, though, is I want us to go into a visualization exercise for a moment. And this is important from the effect that I want you guys to see how momentum and how small actions can lead to really big things. Okay. So what I want everybody to do is I want you to just close your eyes for a minute, and I want you to envision the Empire State Building. Okay. I want you to think about not just the fact that it's 1,454 feet tall, but I also want to envision then that antenna, because that antenna really stretches that, right? That antenna at the top, it just towers over most of New York City, right? It is a massive building that you can basically see from anywhere. And as you imagine then, sitting at the very bottom of this and looking up at this monster building, I want you then to start to think about the idea that I am going to push you to build some dominoes. Okay? And I want you to envision the dominoes lining up to be able to knock over this building. Now you might say, well, Stephen, but dominoes are 2 inches tall. There's no way. Well, we're going to make them a little larger. Okay? So I want you to envision a 2-inch domino getting 1.5 times larger. Okay? And then what I want you to see then is that you're at the very end of this long line of dominoes. They're all lined up to knock over this giant building, right? And it's going to take you pushing that 2-inch domino to get it all started. But before we push that domino over, I want to ask you guys a simple question. I want somebody to type it in the chat, or you can, of course, throw it out, or say it. But how many dominoes does it take to knock over that Empire State Building? What do you think? What's the number? Oh, don't be shy now. The top one? Okay, that's awesome, Wendy. I like that. That's true. So the last domino would knock it over. But how many total? Just take any guess. Very witty though, Wendy. That's good. I'll call on somebody if I have to. I'll do it. I'm not afraid. 50, 651 for Brittany. I like it. Well, I'm going to tell you, we'll take the 651, right? Because I think it's a good idea. And when I do this typically with my executive clients and we go through this routine, numbers stretch from all over the place, right? And some individuals will, obviously 600 plus is a great guess. We have some people say 1,000, right? And you start to think about the magnitude of why our minds go so large, right? And it's because we really live in a world of perception and not always perspective, right? I even led you down this path by showing you this dauntingly tall building, right? The words that I utilized made it so tall and so exuberant, right? That it leads you towards this concept of it being so big. But if I were to tell you it was only 57 dominoes, that's all it would take. And then I want you to take away this concept of this being an Empire State Building, and I want you to put in whatever it is that is the difficult goal for you. Whatever is the thing that you feel like you don't have confidence for, that you feel like your confidence has been shook and taken away from you, ripped out of your arms. That is this piece here. But it seems so big, 651, that's going to take forever, right? But then all of a sudden, if you're told that, no, it's going to take 57. That's all it's going to take for you to do it. And then you start to think, well, wait a minute, if that's the case, then I can do 57. That's not too far. Then the question then is, well, how do you get started? And now I want you to go back to think about it. It's the smallest domino. It's the 2-inch tall domino that a flick of your finger is all it's going to take to start to create the momentum to knock over all 57 and then topple, of course, this big, huge, monstrous building that is that confidence that we need to acquire. And my argument here for you and my effort for here is that you start to see that the true power in compounding effort is the confidence that you need. It's the daily show up. It's the small actions compounding over time that lead to that moment where you have this massive victory. And one of the biggest mistakes that we all make is we don't take the time to pause and to realize that we might be at domino number 35. We're more than halfway there. Our goal is right at our fingertips, but that's where the fear, maybe anger, and we don't stay and look sometimes backwards to see all the victories of all the dominoes we've knocked over to get to this point. And because of that, we stop our momentum. And so the opportunity for all of us today as we start a new week is to start to put this into true pure application for our daily lives. We can start to create our own Empire State Building of whatever it is that's stopping us from taking and moving forward and creating momentum for ourselves, building our confidence. So as a job seeker, and I'm going to speak directly as a job seeker here, there's again 3 major components to this, and that's mind, body, and then execution from that. And so let me break this down for you. Your mind is such a powerful tool. Stanford did a study that was actually shared back a couple of years ago. I think it was in 22, if I'm not mistaken, and it showed what burnout looked like and how consistent what this new phenomenon of burnout that everybody was really truly experiencing. And it was not just for people that were in jobs, it was people who are actually as a job seeker, right? They showed the difference and they showed the similarities. And one of the things that was so consistent was that individuals who did not have some form of a mindful routine for themselves. And what that means is it's something how you ground yourself in the morning. Okay. The morning routine is as important, if not more important, than your nightly routine. We talk a lot about reflection at night, but it's the projection, it's the meditation, the prayer, the journaling that talks about pushing the day forward and what that day is going to look like from an overall mindfulness concept that calms and resets our nervous system. The anxiety, the lack of confidence starts to dwindle away when we are playing out our day through the routine we have by exercising our mind. And in that study, it reduced burnout by 31% just simply by spending 10 minutes in mindfulness. That's it. Just 10 minutes every morning. Now, from a body perspective, we have to move. Okay, this is extremely important. If you're feeling a lack of confidence, if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling where the anxiety is weighing you down, it's been proven over and over again that we need a dopamine release, right? But a positive dopamine release, not a doom scrolling dopamine release. If you really want to just combat imposter syndrome, that lack of confidence, a 20-minute walk, 20 minutes of exercise, 20 minutes of something physical will unlock not just your mind, but it'll unlock the endorphins in your body, and you will feel instantly better, and you will be able to get back on track. So the hardest thing, and I have one of my clients that I've had recently, every time something negative would happen, they would love to eat chocolate. And so the rule that we came up with was just eat your chocolate, but just do it while you're walking. And that became the routine. So even if you have to do that, right, just take action and some kind of physical work. I promise you'll feel better. Now, some tools so that you can actually do this, right? Obviously, reflection, discovery, and execution is a wonderful one as a way to find mindfulness. You can please utilize that tool, but there's many others out there. It's what's best for you and your own routine. But the 9 to 3 rule is the one as a job seeker that is so important, and that is creating your daily routine for yourself, right? And if you want to know more about 9 to 3, we'll break that down for you. That's obviously, we can share the resource with you. It's inside of our full program. You have access to that, of course. If you're already a part of the membership program, you'll see that there. But this is an unlocking tool for you that gives you an opportunity to start to structure your day so that you can get back to not just having a day that's giving you the option to create the momentum for your job, but it's giving you the ability to be able to have momentum back to your life. And one of the things that's so important for us is to teach those compounding wins again, and how those wins lead to long-term success, because it unlocks you not just as a job seeker, but it truly unlocks you 100% in your career. And so regardless of where you are, if you don't have a foundation of when things start to get difficult, or when your confidence wanes, or when the most difficult suffering is happening in your life, there has to be a way for you to step back, have perspective of that situation, and then lean in to create the momentum for yourself so that you can create proper movement forward. So I'll leave this as the challenge for not just today, but the challenge for the week is this. What's one action that you're going to repeat daily this week? Whether you're a job seeker, whether you're just advancing yourself as a parent, as a partner, maybe you're even in your current position and you need to basically establish new relationships. What is an action that you're going to do that you're going to repeat weekly? No matter what, nothing's going to stop you inside of it. And then the last piece of that I want you to think about and really reflect on is, what domino will you push today that will create the momentum towards whatever your bigger goal is for yourself? Not asking you to achieve the goal, but what is that first domino?